two, three, four. Ha ha ha. Four people on the podcast. Oh, how's everybody doing? Happy New Year and all that fun stuff. Thanks for joining us on Swamp Talk this year for our very first episode of the 2025 season. Hey, Miss Lisa Weber there in the comments. Um,
And
and George,
George.
hey, you're also in the comments. There he is. All right. We are here today to talk about all things collapse and then probably some totally irrelevant crap somewhere
Probably.
down the line. I mean, what am I talking about? Everything I say is irrelevant. So, anyhow, welcome to the show. And we've got Steve Solo, we've got Zach, and we got Sandman. So, I'm going to kind of kick back and kind of let Solo run a little bit here, and I'll interject my couple questions here and there where I got it, because it really looked like it was going to be a very cool game. I like the way the storyline was. I like the way you had all the extra stuff in it, and I guess somebody did a three-peat this year.
Somebody
basically
pulled off a three-peat despite everybody else's efforts. I'll introduce our commanders here. So Sandman, John Russell, he commanded the U.S. this year, which was previously the CIA team. It's been the blue team for previous 4 games. This year, because we went more global on the scale of the story, he was the commander of the U.S. forces. And his challenger, or the challenger, for commanding the EU, because the EU invaded through Canada and how this game worked out, was Zach Riley. Sandman's XO was Valkyrie from Viper Squad, and Zach's XO was Chase Traffic Morris from Anarchy. So, gentlemen, thank you as always for jumping on things when I ask you to, roll yourself down on a camera. Sandman, what's it feel like to finally be done with me asking you to do stuff for the collapse?
Well, you got me in a haunted room right now, so I'm kind of creeped out. But then again, it's usually how you leave me, on the edge of my seat. I'm ecstatic that I don't have to command this game anymore. It was basically like pushing a kidney stone out for 3 years.
I'll take it.
But it was a lot of fun. I probably will miss it in the long run, but it definitely is a load off my back that I don't have to bother people to play again.
At least from the command seat. You never know who's going to step in for next year and if they're going to ask you to do something. So
I'm sure I'm going to get hoard out.
Somebody will be knocking on your door, I'm sure. So, Zach, how's it feel after having played the collapse previously, very, very late in the game in comparison to Sandman, stepping into command role for this? What's your feel?
It was kind of nuts, in all honesty. It was 7 weeks of prep. There was so much going on and so much chaos of, trying to recruit, dealing with you, getting all the information, and trying to put a team together to help, win the game, and not trying to be overwhelmed by everything that you post on Facebook pretty much weekly.
Yes, there was a lot of that. I got spam warnings this year, so I had to scale it down a little bit and space things out a little bit. But I almost got zucked. So that's why next year's game is already being hosted by the Cypher page, not me. I'm not trying to have my Facebook taken down. To start this game this year, I went about it a little bit differently based on feedback from the previous year. Last year, Collapse 3, we sequestered both commanders away from their groups, from their teams even. In Sandman's case, Sandman got black bagged last year and driven around the field and dropped in a remote corner with one of his teammates, and they were only allowed to have a hopper. Worth paint and told, hey, here's your mission card, 30 seconds before game on, survive, get back to your base. Sandman didn't survive. This year, based on Sandman's feedback of, I don't want to do that again, but us liking the black bagging mechanic and wanting to expand upon that, Both teams very early into the day, early as in like 8 a.m. When I met with both of them, just go over the orientation, they were given their all-day missions, their briefing packet, basically, which is just some people have called it the Book of Frosty. I don't write all of it. It's like the rules, the storyline, the dossiers, that kind of thing. All of that's in there, and then some missions. And one of the missions to start the day was, hey, either the commander or XO must be present plus six of their, at least six, or at most, excuse me, six of their team. And they will all be black bagged and marched off to a undisclosed location on the field. So Sandman's reaction, which I'll let him recount, was funny. But that's how we started the game very early before it even kicked off. And about 10, 15 minutes before game start, we marched those players who showed up and their commander or XO out to the Chinooks. And they started in opposite Chinooks and didn't know that each other were in the other Chinook. And we were popping off a huge string of firecrackers. We had speakers going. I have GoPro footage of one of the Chinooks that we put up in like the rafters, so we could just see what they did, how it went down and everything, which maybe one day I'll post out somewhere. But yeah, so Sandman, what was your reaction to the black bagging?
Well, this time you at least asked permission. The first year I just got told I was black bagged, and I did not like that at all. This year I saw it and immediately said, fuck that shit. I'm not doing it. I had a bad reaction with it the last year because they didn't account for the amount of hair on my head blocking the only air hole. So, and
we got different bags this year too to make it easier.
Yeah,
just
I know.
In case.
You get nice things for everybody else, and I get the back end of it.
I like to think it's learning from experience, and which is why we went about it this way this year. Was learning from the experience with you and your feedback from it. And I was like, okay, cool. So, I don't want to upset more people, but it was a cool thing.
Yeah, this year I decided to let my XO have some fun, and a couple of my other guys that didn't get to do it last year, they all loved it. They thought it was like the coolest thing in the world. And I said,
yeah.
What was the command staff like? I mean, how many were on each team? Just the commander and an XO?
As far as billeted roles, yeah, it was just commander and XO. And then obviously they're going to bring on whoever they want to support staff inside those CPs. And that was going to be my next question for them because I wanted to hear Zach's reaction because Zach, I didn't get to talk to you about like how was your black bag experience because you actually got bagged and walked out there.
Yeah, it was a little chaotic. The fact of I still didn't know what it was even after it was stated what it was. I still had no clue what it was. Chase was like, "You can go do that. Have fun with that." I'm like, "All right, that's cool." I'm like, "Go out there, shoot a few paintballs, and be done." Still had no idea. Getting the 6 people was tough because I was trying to explain to everybody what it was and still not knowing what the black bag really was. I got 6, and it's funny. I went to go chrono. I turned back around. The 6 that I picked, they were like, "Yeah, we're not doing it." I'm like, "What do you mean you're not doing it?" Still had no idea about the bags. And then I had a few of my guys. It was 2 other guys that were out already chronoed, and I was like, "Well, you guys are coming with me and doing this." And they're like, "All right, we got to put these bags on your head." I'm like, "Huh? You really doing that?" So then we went out and did that. One of my guys was very paranoid about it. I was okay. It just got really hot in the bag, definitely breathing heavily and not knowing where I was going. Overall, though, it wasn't a bad experience once the bags were off, and I was like, "This is actually pretty cool." I like how this was all set up, but it was a pain trying to get people to do it because everyone knew what it was except me. So, but I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Good. Okay. We thought of it, that whole opening sequence, which just to set the scene for everybody watching, both commanders and XOs early morning, like I said, were issued this mission saying XO or commander plus a couple of team members need to be black bagged and walked out to an undisclosed location. The teams get walked out there. They're set up in separate Chinooks. They're spaced out so you can't hear the footsteps really too well from where the other team is. as they're walked out there. So we were trying to consider everything, knowing that there was a chance some of the US based players, they like talking like Task Force Eagle guys even, that they'd probably try to do like mic clicks or something like that or figure out where they're at as they're walking. I'm like, okay, we got to account for that a little bit here. So off they go. They get set up in the Chinooks by some of our production assistants. We have Rip out there, who's our prop master, and our lead production assistant, Tyler. They're set up out there. They have audio going, so we set up speakers on the second floor of the airfield to blare like firefight noises to help do that, and it just deafen everybody because it echoed pretty well inside the Chinooks, from what I understand. We lit a couple of with Brian's permission, hot burning smoke in some metal cans to just help smoke out the area a little bit thicker. So we had visual, we had audio. About 30-ish seconds before game start, the bags come off the players' heads. And while they were waiting, they've been told, hey, your mission is to hold the airfield flag at the 30-minute mark. Your team, meanwhile, has gotten the same mission back at base, so they already know where their commander or XO is already at that point. So they're getting that thrown into gears right off the break to kind of ruin their opening plan, because I enjoy doing that. And it's like, hey, here's a big curveball. Good luck with your opener, kids. And off they went at the game start. And Blue got there very, 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 very fast. And like I saw, I think it was Luke Thompson's video, just young knees. That's all I can say. Just like a gazelle from the Southern CP straight to the airfield. I'm like, Jesus Christ, they're fast. So that's how the game opened. It was with that, a mad dash to the airfield, and a couple flag stations active, and get your supply bags. And of course, we booby trapped the field yet again this year. So there was a bunch of tripwires set up with the airsoft banger EGs because they are smaller and easier to hide, and are actually, I think, a little bit louder. So we set up, I think, 8 or 9 of them this year. Some got tripped, others got diffused, and some definitely made their way into players' hands that hopefully got used on the field. But so yeah, that was how the game opened up. The whole point is to just disorient the commander and or XO and throw a wrench into the gears of each team's opening. You can plan all you want, but I'm going to do something every year to try and countermand that as best as I can to keep it fun. But yeah, so talking your CP staffs and your support structure, Sandman, do you want to talk about yours?
Sure. I've had for the past 3 years one individual that has helped me for 2 of the 3. Because each year I've had a different XO. This is the first year where I've had a repeat XO. Mike Elward was my XO for the first one, and we didn't really know what we were doing because I think we got that game command like a month or so before the game when we were going against Teddy. So it was just me and Elward running the CP the first year. I had Tyler Gray, whose code name is Sugar from Viper Squad. He was my main CP bitch. No nice way to put that. He handled the Cryolite the year before and the Solution this year. So he loves the arts and crafts aspect of it. Don't let him fool you with what he has to say about it. This year I also added 2 more people. I had Brainy from Outlaw Militia running my comms, radio, doing all the radios and stuff like that. Unfortunately, he forgot a piece, so he didn't have his actual like main radio. So we were able to work around that. And I had comms, he had comms, so he was listening if I couldn't. He was also listening to the number stations. Then I had Grundle from Task Force Eagle working all the props, handling the prop aspect, making sure everything goes out to the players that they could go to the role players. And the continuing missions after that, where we had to keep going back to the role players. He handled a lot of that, and a couple of missions on field as well. then I had my strike leaders on the field as well. Like my XO spent a lot of time on the field, as well as Lambie from Task Force Eagle. He handled a lot of on-field missions, and it's not just a one-man show. It's unfortunately it's too many moving parts for that. It's got to be a well-oiled machine. And this year I was very, very happy with how oiled our machine was.
Okay. And George, to answer your question, this was Chesapeake City, Maryland, OXCC, in December 7th this year, or just past December rather. So
very cold. At least we didn't have rain this year.
Yes, that was great. No, it was pretty damn cold. The 2 days of prep prior to, like, we almost couldn't do anything on Thursday because of just the high winds, and my hands were just raw from the cold and wind from the full weekend there. So I know I wasn't the only one. I like the guys who set up the canopy nets and everything like that. Their hands had to have been torn up as well. So yeah, a lot better than 115 in August. That's correct. So.
That you know what, that is like my worst experience at that field ever. Was the first 2 years we went there for Super Game. Man,
it was warm.
Holy
I remember those years. It was warm, and I was playing MagFed in like the full battle rattle at that time. I was still on TSOC. Yeah, that shit was hot. So we've all played Super Game there, and
that guy don't like hot. I'll take cold any day.
100%.
Yeah, I can put a couple extra things on, but I can only take so much off to be appropriate.
Can't take the skin off. Not yet.
Yeah. No, nobody wants to see these white legs. Nobody.
The sun.
Of course, actually, with the way we've been living right now out here out at Battlefield Orlando, I think I've got a pretty good tan going. Actually, we're just getting into the cold ass weather, that cold front that's coming through. They're freaking out down here. It's going to be 40 degrees, guys. They're freaking out. It's going to be 40.
Yeah. Here in Louisiana,
40 shorts weather.
I'll still be in shorts.
I'm in shorts right now, so I wear shorts all year round.
I'm here in Louisiana still for another couple months, and tomorrow is going to be, I think, like 43 or something like that. I'm like, I'll still be in shorts. Everyone down here, they're getting, like, it was almost 80 degrees today, and people are wearing North Faces. I'm like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, it's 28 degrees out right now where I'm at. So it's
iguanas falling from the trees. Yeah.
Iguanas, the comments, iguanas falling from the trees. I see that. Yeah. So looking from the pictures, you could tell it was cold. Just by the way, everybody was bundled up, but you couldn't tell it was cold because there was snow all over the ground, at least.
I mean, it got hot halfway through to like where I had to take the hoodie off.
The sun came out, which was great. That helped us actually.
And then all of a sudden, it got real cold real quick.
Yeah.
Hey, hold on a minute there with that picture, real second, Dill. I know we're kind of, whatever, falling off the rails. What are those that are in that?
That was the MacGuffin this year. And our prop master, who's in the chat, Ryan, he was the one who constructed this based off of my very, very loose descriptions of what I was looking for the MacGuffins to be this year. Those are repurposed machines from his job that we then retrofitted to where it's a touch sensor. When the correct hard drive was slotted into those things, they would light up green. And each one of them has different IP addresses, and the hard drives had different IP addresses on them. And when slotted correctly, everything would light up, and it started a countdown sequence that was played very, 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 very loudly of 15 minutes.
And he's holding one of the.
No, that's actually from an earlier mission to collect telemetry data. It did use hard drives. It just wasn't the same hard drives. That's where us relying on stickers to tell you what things are, very, very large stickers, helps a lot with us. This was a very tech-based game for this year. Utilized a good chunk of some RFID connectivity in the background that very, very quietly was not noticed. That's the whole idea. We want it to be seamless. We don't want things to be too janky. Sandman mentioned earlier, we also had a number station. So we actually utilized a licensed frequency that we have at Cypher to broadcast audio messages that we provided the frequency to all the players at the morning briefing, knowing full well there's a chance it turns into a Call of Duty lobby. But to counteract that, we had specific radios for the command booths, so they had direct access to it with privacy code set up, so they would get a clear signal no matter what. So it was our first time trying something like that. We may or may not iterate on it in the future. We liked how it worked out, but we do need to do a little bit of work there to make it a little bit more accessible to players, we think. Whole point of that was based if some messages were coming through in other languages that were just meant to confuse and do whatever, which we know somebody was, I think it was in Red CP, taking notes attempted in Russian. So, and then every so often something would come through in English and it would be like the field name, so like Provo, and then a 3-digit code, and that would unlock a yellow number station box at that location, and inside it had some Barney bucks. And I'm sorry I don't have a picture of the Barney bucks, so I should have had that ready. But yes, we printed Barney's face on currency. And they could take that over to the bazaar and do a little bit of wheeling and dealing with Barney. By the end of the day, even the set dressing had gotten sold at Barney's somehow. I watched at one point my big, gigantic Gallerhorn rocket launcher that does absolutely nothing for the game, as Zach learned, walk out of there with Teddy after Teddy sold a prop item that was needed. to Barney.
Yeah, I got his BT5, his purple
yeah, you
gun.
got his purple AK. Yeah, I drove that back from North Carolina.
And a cowboy hat.
Yeah.
Oh, and my swords from the previous years that were stolen.
So yeah, by the end of the day, Barney was having a full-on fire sale. Just, hey, yeah, I'll play with anybody here. This does nothing for you. Have fun. So I wanted to ask Zach about his support structure going into this, because much like Sandman in his first year, he got the call into this late into the game, having to step in because somebody stepped out. And Zach, why did you say yes first? And second, tell me about the support staff for the day. Like, who'd you have helping you out?
So the reason I said yes is because of the fact that it's a completely different game than any other game that I've played. And I've played this game just out on the field before. Like I've, came and played that day. It's different, and I wanted a challenge, honestly, other than the fact of who I was going against, just the challenge of the game and trying to open my mindset of what I can be doing different as a general. So that's why I said yes. I wanted the challenge of it, and it's also ruin Sandman's three-peat. For my command staff, having Chase was a big help. Thank God Frosty helped me with that, getting an XO immediately. The way I was trying to coordinate my command staff was basically getting people that are good at certain things, such as doing mission runs, someone that knows the game very well, someone who has better, battle tactics of where to shift people on the field to certain areas at certain times. Pretty much pawning off stuff so I don't have to do as much and only focus on one thing. And because of the games that I've commanded in the past, it's basically get to a zone and hold it for a certain amount of time and then switch to another side. Like that's what I know how to do best, where to put people on the field. Mission stuff I'm not really the best at, so I figured I'd hand some of that stuff off to other people so I don't have to stress out about that. So I had Chase do missions. I had Chris Morris from Death Dealers also doing missions on the field, dealing with all the role players. Teddy was a huge help. He came out and helped me. I figured he would be best in the CP since, he's won before and lost, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, he already has the experience in the game. Try and get people that know what they're doing and know what the game's all about already and use that to my advantage. And it did to a degree until he started spending, Barney bucks. And but yeah, and then everyone, especially Teddy, was walking me through how the game works and, trying to get me in that mindset of a mission based scenario. So having those people, helping me out, it made it a lot easier, I will say. And I was less stressed going into the event, knowing who I had in there and what I could worry about. And I actually was able to go out and, do some of the mission stuff to, help the team get the points. So it made it a lot easier having those people in there.
Okay.
Cool.
Frog, what questions do you have so far? I don't want to like overrun you here.
No, so okay, so I mean, obviously Sandman liked it. He did it 3 years in a row, whether he says he liked it or not.
People had a lot
But
of input on that one. I didn't want to do it after the second year, but my guys said you got to go for a three-peat. So there was a lot of outside, and everybody wanted me to keep doing it because they didn't want to do it.
I do want to point out though that Sandman has recently agreed to EXO for our other game that we're doing in May at Skirmish now. So it's not like he's taken himself out of the chaos. He's just changing the flavor of it. Because
well, yeah, you gotta have different different meals every once in a while.
Decided to have Italian this time.
What about you, Zach? Yeah, there you go, Zach. You ready to do it again? I mean, if asked, I'm not saying you've been asked, but I'm just saying, would you throw yourself into the mix of commanding this type of game? Because I know, I mean, you've got it. Okay, there's a lot going on, but you've really got it laid out to where it's not mass anarchy. Really, there's a plan and there's stuff going on. Sometimes you get thrown into some of these events that are so complicated where it just becomes mass anarchy and, oh, well, forget about that. Let's just do this. I mean,
I would 100% do it again. Especially now that I got this first time out of the way. That was like the trial pretty much. I was not
rip the Band-Aid off, right? Rip the Band-Aid off.
Like I wasn't going into this game thinking I'm going to, win. I was trying to just give Sandman a run for his money and see what I could do with only having 7 weeks of prep doing it. So, I tried everything and anything that I could do, and it kind of worked to a degree.
To a great degree, dude. Don't sell yourself short here, okay? Like that was an incredibly tight game. So those who know me know, like I love Excel spreadsheets and whatnot. So I scored the game using an Excel spreadsheet. So as scores come in for a flag count, or you guys have collected certain amount of things at the end of the hour, whatever it was, I'm entering that into a live Excel sheet, and it's totaling it up as it goes. And like we're watching the hour by hour break and like the total count, and it's like, oh, this is going back and forth, and it very much was back and forth the entire day. The point difference at the end of the game was 298, which is nothing. That's the last two flag hangs at the end of the last hour. Like that was it. It was incredibly tight and well played from very different directions for both of you, to be completely honest. Like both of you played the same game, but at the same time focused on very different aspects. Which was interesting to look at after the fact, where all the points laid out. So one example of that real quick is Sandman mentioned earlier that having to go back to the role players for missions and stuff. This was the first year we actually used the role players as direct mission sources, and we had 5 of them as opposed to 4 in previous years. We did 5 of them, and each one had 3 missions for each team. So that meant 15 missions per side were rooted in just the role players. And those were the missions that got you the drives for the final Gambit mission sequence. So the final MacGuffin, that all came through the role players. Everything else in the main mission sequence chain of events was the stuff that built up the point value of that Gambit mission. So that was the first time we'd done something like that. We knew that there was a significant chance that a bunch of teams would not necessarily get all the Gambit drives, so we had to have a plan in place to recover those and provide them to both sides at the end of hour 5, so they could at least engage with that mission. So we had some backups, and we had to open up a couple boxes just as we went into that last hour to enable both teams to engage with it. So, Sandman, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I mean, after 3 years of this game, this definitely was probably the biggest the biggest sweat. Even the first year where it was a runaway game, which it didn't feel like it. None of these games that I played ever felt like where I sat there and I'm like going up on stage and I'm like, I know I won this or I know I lost this. Like that's the beauty of this game is no matter how you're doing on the field, it never seems that one side is dominating the other. And a lot of what I noticed was it was like a yin yang. Like we would be on one side of the field, they would be on the other side of the field, and then it would switch a lot. And it just you could see the patterns with the strategy. He was doing the complete same thing I was doing, just on the opposite side. And then it's a lot of things thrown at you where you have to pick and choose. What points matter the most, and that's where it came down to, like in the final battle. Give up some territory just to make sure you get the bigger points at the end.
How many players were at this? Well, okay, it was a 2-day game. Or
One day, 6 hours straight, no side switch, 10-4.
Got enough stuff for a 2-day
Okay.
game, but
Yes.
Oh man, you ain't kidding.
What numbers? What kind of
So
numbers
including
did you
our
have?
4 command our command groups. So the additional 4, the final official count was 278. So just a hair under 300. One day I'll
Were
get
they-
it. But.
Were they pretty even
So-
matched, or was one side over?
That was my biggest sweat leading into this. Somebody over recruited, and his name is Sandman, and did a great job of recruiting. Truly, like blew out of the water our pre-reg number.
2 years in a row, and you're playing your third year. You win 2 years in a row, and you're playing your third year. Who are they going to?
Some people like living in that bucket of crabs and want to see the guy taken down sometimes too. I mean, I can't say like you always have like this backing, because I've seen the complete opposite take effect. I've joked about that with Angler and Mamba at the same time. I'm talking about like the Folda games back in the day. Yeah, this was the strongest pre-reg we've had, but we also had the benefit of an additional week of pre-reg, because we were technically, with how the calendar laid out, a week later into December than we usually are. So like next year going into it, December 6th, so we'll continue having that additional week there. Going into it, I think at the worst in mid-November, it was like a 3-to-1 ratio. 3 players for every one, 3 blue players for every 1 red. And it's the toughest part, and I was in communication with Zach the entire time, and he can tell you, I was saying, hey, the toughest part of this thing is just getting players to click register. It really is. Like, we saw what the weather was. It's like, everyone's going to be fine. It's going to be okay. And we've typically had very strong walk-on numbers, but everyone that showed up, the vast majority of them were registering red anyway, and it just worked out into, by the time game started, I think an hour into the game, I got the player count difference, and I believe it was about 14 player difference, if I'm not mistaken, maybe a little bit less. So yeah, it worked out great. We didn't have to get involved, didn't have to do anything. These guys brought the players, and they played one hell of a game this time around. So so it was great for a 1-day game in December. We're very happy with it. And the 300 thing is just, it's nobody else on production feels this way. It's just in my head. It's like, I would like to crack 300 just once, for no reason other than, hey, I did it. That's it. Maybe one day, but 12, sorry. Yeah. So Phil was helping out in the pro shop. It was a 12-player difference between the 2 teams. So yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah,
That's
was-
pretty good. That's pretty
we're
good.
happy with
not having to pull strings to make that happen. Because as a commander, that is the worst freaking thing. Recruit, and then at the start of the game, you're like, oh wow, we've got those many more players. Well, I almost like, it's like I don't want to tell other teams like, hey, change sides. I'm just like, all right, just tell the producer, pick who you want me to change, and that's who we're changing, because it just sucks no matter what.
No, it does. There's no easy way about going and doing it, and especially.
But you need the game. You need the game close enough to where it's
And thankfully, we've been lucky enough to work with commanders who understand that. I know Sandman in previous years has had that conversation. Asked me like, "Hey, so what happens if numbers aren't like equal-ish enough?" It's like, I mean, this is our plan. This is how we can deal with it. And it starts with us having somebody in the pro shop. So in this case, Phil was in the pro shop, keeping a hand on it to make sure, like, okay, like we have the right numbers going to red. And we already had kind of a limited list of, we know which blue players have not registered yet. So we were like, okay, they can register blue, but most people were going to register red at that point for walk on. That's why, like, we put out ahead of time, and I've stood on this for years now, pre-register, or else you may not get the side you want. And that applies to every paintball. You're going to go where production ends up needing you, one way or the other. So pre-register, even if it saves you $10, you want to play with the friends that you want to play with, pre-reg. Like, it helps everybody involved. So and you save a couple bucks. It can't hurt.
My thing with pre-reg always used to be is like, because I was a contractor, I didn't know if I was, gonna actually, okay, so I'm all packed up and ready to go to Battle of Hoth at Blast Camp, and all of a sudden, it's February, right? Well, the warehouse froze up, and there's an 8-inch sprinkler line pumping 15,000 gallons a minute into the freaking warehouse. Well, you don't go play Hoth. You go make that money.
Exactly. So
that was my thing. But god damn, it's so much nicer when you pre-reg and you can just walk up and be like, hey, all right, here's all my stuff. I'm done. I'm ready. No, like, oh, put me on this team, please.
Nope. Also, get your waivers done. It helps.
So pre-reg if you can, everybody. Pre-reg and then buy your paint too when you pre-reg, because it makes the paints cheaper.
Generally it does. So these guys got to talk about their support staff. I do want to gush a little bit about the folks that supported this event. This year we actually had somebody billeted as my assistant, which I haven't previously had, because I definitely get a little on the nerves as the day goes through. And in order to help bring that down a little, I want it to go right. That's all. Once the game starts, I'm like, okay, here we go. And that's it. There's nothing I can do. It's like, it's on rails. The game is set up to run on its own, and I do very little. I just run the radio and make sure, okay, we're scoring this. I keep everybody on schedule. Rip, as our prop master, is always phenomenal. He has year over year delivered on some absolutely insane concepts that we come up with, frankly, and he's right on this, way too late into our production cycle. It's like, yeah, we should have been talking about this like in May and June. And it's like, well, it's August. Can we do this or not? And he's like, fucking figure it out. And then talking about the person who assisted me this year, Shoop. Shoop did absolutely phenomenal in helping me out, being right next to me, handling some of the stuff that I'm working on something else right now, some other issue. I had somebody else that can handle running the game, making sure everything's scoring properly. I felt comfortable enough a couple hours into the game where I could walk out of control and go and talk to Mac with my radio off. That was the first time I've ever felt comfortable enough to do that. So Shoop did absolutely phenomenal. Dave Patton, who's always been a big supporter of ours, he comes to each game. He's obviously part of Solstice. He was in control as well, like helping us out, which he didn't need to at all. But he did a great job as always. Tyler, who runs our production assistants, like he himself is out there doing a lot of this stuff, and then he's also managing these guys. The production assistants are the ones you see in. I jokingly started to call it like Disney green. Essentially, like, you don't actually see us. It's the infrastructure that's painted green that you don't see. They're the ones out there like doing a lot of the prop drops at certain times, making sure things are recovered. When we had to change over into the last hour to recover a bunch of the Gambit drives, these guys were stationed out. Those things popped those locks and like ran them to designated CPs. And then the role players themselves, like they had such a more critical job this time around, being essentially the key holders for the MacGuffins for the Gambit drives this year that both teams were going to be after, or rather being the mission holder for those drives. They got set on a very specific routing schedule, which we typically haven't done. Usually we let them just kind of free roam, free range. we put them on specific pathing this year to even out as much as possible their exposure to both teams while also keeping them away from the objectives to the missions they were issuing. So, a very delicate balancing act. Not to mention, on top of it, this year, which threw another wrench into the gears of both teams, we have that hazard zone in the middle that goes up and down. This time, we just left it up the entire day, which we hadn't done previously. So I know that threw some players off. Like, wait, isn't that supposed to come down? Nope, not this time. So combination of all of that, it is the whole team that accomplishes this game. I am just the face in this particular case, and I may architect it, but we have people to do the story. Hippo stepped up and wrote some fantastic story elements for us in the later production cycle. A lot of the role player stuff, mission story for the guys here that might have read it or not. And then also, if players did notice, we were hanging an hourly summary on the CPs that looked like news articles because Tim from Dizana had a bunch of this canvas material that we just said, okay, cool, we're going to make it look like a newspaper, and threw that up on the CPs to help players just kind of hopefully, if they read it, understand, hey, this is what's happening in the story in the last hour, because this was a war, it was an invasion of the U.S. by EU. So yeah, journalism's still going to be very much a thing. So yeah, we did a lot of different elements to this. Everybody in production came up with some really cool ideas that we got to implement a lot of it this year. And as we have in previous years, we just continually iterate, fine-tune stuff, maybe drop a couple of things we've done for a few years now to reinvent it in a later game, perhaps. But yeah, so yeah, I needed to gush about those.
We've got a video here, I think, loaded up. Let's watch the video, and if you guys got any comments on the video as it's playing, I believe we can talk over it. So
or any questions?
Yeah, so let us know here. Aaron, run that. Aaron Dill in the background. Aaron Dill Media, pushing buttons as always. Our great and powerful Oz. Go for it, dude. Run that video, and let's see what we got here. Damn. The black bag. Oh boy.
7 minutes remaining. This is not a test. This is not a test.
That's my job all day. Spreadsheets and a radio.
Barney's Bazaar. Were those Barney bucks?
No, those are actually Soviet rubles. We've had that suitcase for every game thus far. The last 2 years, it was never found. And that's part of a prop item that we got traded to a role player at one point.
Ouch.
The transition from the drone follow, or lead rather, to Cheryl or John's camera there was just perfect timing. Same with this drop down. Loved it. So that was part of a mission that came from Trouble as a role player, where they had to set up a satellite uplink, and it gave them a confirmation code at the end of the recording that ran for, I think it was 10 minutes. So again, our prop masters set that up and coded all of that.
That was fun to set up and do that.
You actually made me run for this game, and that's something that doesn't normally happen when I have to stay in the CP.
Yeah, we got the commanders and the XOs a bit more involved in the on-field stuff this year, because to get the missions from the role players, you had to either be a commander or the XO or one of the 3 specialist roles, because this year was the first time we introduced like player-specific roles this time around. We haven't done it in previous games. Obviously, a lot of games have done that before, but we introduced a demo because we allowed launchers, 1 per team this year. We had the Seaburn specialist who could enter the hazard zone without a hazard suit, and then an extraction specialist who could safely like call themselves out using like a smoke grenade and keep all the props if you got somebody behind enemy lines and they got something that you didn't want them necessarily to drop, because if you're out, you're supposed to drop all your shit. So, and then each of those specialists had different upgrade trees that they could progress along through wheeling and dealing with the role players, or buying it from Barney's Bazaar, such as like buying more rocket shots from Barney for the launcher, or the Seaburn specialist buying umbilicals that allowed them to attach a friendly player to them and go into the hazard zone, and they didn't need to wear suits either. However, the drawback there is if the Seaburn is shot, everybody attached to him is also dead. So you could pick up a 4-piece at max off of 1 paintball if you really wanted to. Same thing if the hose, which was a yellow nylon rope, same thing if that got shot. Like technically they're all dead. And I what was it? It was a movie called Rocket Man that gave me the inspiration for that. I just thought of like the fart going down the umbilical air tube, and I was like, yep, he's dead. So, and then the extraction specialist got more uses and could do a buddy extract as well. If the idea there was, okay, maybe they can't get their undercover role player, which they find out leading into the last hour. If maybe that person's in a spot where they're pinned down or something like that, extraction specialist pops the smoke and has a hold of him. He can take him out of there, and they can accomplish the mission that way. So there was different ways to go about using these specialists for certain mission types that came about through the day, that if you were a little bit more creative.
I'm gonna assume both you guys took advantage of that and used that.
Well, you see, actually, as part of the last clip there, you have Sandman throwing the blue armband on Sayers, who was our role player who was their undercover. The public profile for Sayers was a motorcycle club enforcer. Because, again, we're in the 90s. This is 97. So he was like gun running, this and that. Turns out he's actually an undercover ATF agent. So... meanwhile, our tech CEO that's a bit of a germaphobe that we covered last time I was on the show, who was played by Hippo. He actually turns out to be, or Jack Cypher actually turns out to be an MI6 agent. So the EU had to extract him because he was deep cover well within the US for many, many years kind of thing. So on and so forth. And anybody who scratched a little bit further than the surface on his profile would have been like, wait a second, he didn't invent the floppy disk. That's not right. When we have typically stuck to history for the most part of what, for most things actually, when it comes to like historical references. So scratching a little bit past the surface sometimes pays off. And that is one of the things that I think actually Lambie was asking, hey, was there any puzzles or anything like that? That was one of the things in the role player profile. It's like, yeah, that's not right. Hold on, that's suspicious. So, but yeah, to talk about the video though, John did another phenomenal video for us. This is his third video he's done for us covering the event itself. Year after year, he's just gotten better and better. Like he's been incredibly great to work with.
Hey, Buffy.
Schedule. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to bug out soon.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna have to sleep.
Is there anything?
Yeah. What if you got to bug
Yeah.
out, hold on a minute. Go for it. You got anything else you want to say or anything you want to add to?
I mean, it was a hell of a game. It's exactly what I wanted. I wanted a close game to crack off my three-peat. It was basically I had no drawbacks from the game other than the fact that us old heads had to explain to the young bucks how to use a Polaroid camera. And thankfully,
that's the thing.
thankfully, I had old heads that needed Salon Pass and like heat warmers to keep them moving that we were able to use. But it's a great game. Probably easily top 3. I'm glad I was able to do it, and I was glad I was able to take home the victory. I did talk with Frosty. I would love to, delve deeper in the game. Just to be a role player, to help the game somehow. Just because I love the games enough that I want them to be successful. And I mean, this is the second general game I've had. Another one's over at OXC. I'm doing the same thing. I lost my three-peat there, and actually Chase was the only person to be part of that team that beat me. So like I said, it was well earned and hard fought, and kudos to Zach for stepping up and doing that. And I mean, I'll go against you anytime. I had fun.
You can do another round at a different event. That'd be fun.
I'm sure, because this old head ain't done yet.
So you said the game was close. How close
It
was
was
it? What was
just
what was it-
shy
what
of
was the
300
final?
points.
Yes,
It literally came down to the
298.
final.
Yeah.
It came down to the final missions, which was hold the airport where the MacGuffin was for an hour. You had the points dropped every half hour, so we got to the MacGuffin first. We completed it, and we got the points for the first half hour, and then the other flag station mission was in the boats, which is Provo, which was right next to it. And we had owned both, but I knew I'm like, these guys are going to be pushing hard into the airport. So I pulled all my guys, for the most part, into the boats and held that down to the end just to get the extra bonus points. Because, 150 over 50 points, it's a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
Did not realize there was a third option. And thankfully, I had a small group that were hell-bent on owning the Rape Shack. They're like, we're getting that Rape Shack. I'm like, you know what? You guys are doing what you're doing. Good on you. And they came back. They were so happy. And then I found out afterwards that there was an actual play for that. I think the mission card got lost in translation when I had gone on the field because I didn't even know it was playable.
Yeah. At the final flag scores, it was 150 at the shack. It was 150 at the boats and 75 at the airfield in that particular case. And if Zach had gotten a hold of those two 150s, he would have had you by 2. Like, it was that tight. It was the closest game we've had. It was like literally down to the wire there, and it wasn't necessarily affected directly by the MacGuffin like dynamic mission as it has been in the past. So it was very, very close. Well, I'm not kidding when I say like all production, like we were like on the edge of our proverbial seats. All of us are standing, but so.
To go off that comment that my guy put, I did tease the fact about coming back for a 4th year, only if my original XO that I had the first year, Mike Elward, was going to do it, get back the Dream Team. It was a half-hearted joke, just to make him feel a little pressure. But I know he's probably not going to do it because he is general in the Big 3 this year. So like I did it. Just teasing the fact, just to be like, you know what, this old man might do another one, and I'm like, no, I don't want to. I want to actually play the game again. I enjoyed playing it the first year, and I kind of miss being able to just go out and play, not have to read a novel, and then recruit everybody under the sun. And you can only recruit so many people each year, and expect the numbers. That's what unfortunately happened. Earlier in the year, especially with Father's Day, the holiday, and having people drive out the previous 2 years, my numbers were not there. And that was main concern. That was my main concern going into this game was, have I recruited enough? Do I need to recruit more? But also not destroy the game. Having 300 people play against 100 people is just not fun for people, and they won't want to come back. Having a game this close and this fun, it draws the people to it eventually. You just have to, be in a position where you tell people about it, they show up, it's a good game, and then they come back themselves and they decide whether or not what side they want to shoot. I mean, looking at the game in the 3 years that I played, pretty sure most of those teams I've either seen, played with, or played against all 4 years that I played this game. So it's nice seeing that this game is growing and becoming a staple for people, especially in December because it's tough with Christmas and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the game over the last 4 years, because Brian Barno has been a great partner throughout the entire time. He's given me the registration list each year, so like I can, if I really wanted to, I could see literally by name who has returned and what years. But like I'm looking at team names when I go, okay, what's our retention or attrition here? And it's like we have really good retention for at least team names coming back year after year. Is it always the same people on those teams? Is it the same number on those teams? That's something different. But we're incredibly grateful for the players that do come out for the Commanders that we have playing this game. We like to think we partner with the Commanders to have a great event. Like Sandman said, like it's not fun having a bunch of people beat up on a small number of players. We don't want that in any way, shape, or form. So that's why we work with the Commanders to make them as successful as possible, because players enjoying the event is really what we care about. And hoping we rub that off on the Commanders that we've worked with over the last few years. So that's the most important part. The players have a good time. So otherwise they don't come back. We don't want that. So, but
all right. Well, with that being said, I mean, Sandman, if you got to get yourself going, get going. Zach,
Yep.
Zach, what do you got? What do you got?
Thank you, guys.
Take it easy, man.
Thank you,
Nice
Sandy.
talking with you. Thanks for joining us. All right. Yeah, Zach, what do you got to add, man?
Let's see. I mean, the hard points. I mean, I can go back to the hard points of only having 7 weeks of doing this. Definitely recruiting, like we've talked about. It was a pain. As soon as I got the go ahead to start recruiting, started going down the list of people I know that can bring numbers and try and help me out with having more people out on the field. And everyone's like, nope, I'm on blue. No, we're on blue. We're not going to switch. All that stuff. So that was definitely stressful. But luckily, as soon as I got into that role, there was definitely a few teams already that were already red, and I think they've been red for the past 4 years anyways, and they don't want to swap. So that helped out. And having a few other people, such as Chase, and I believe Chris Abernathy from Soup Can, they were helping recruit and getting people in the chat, which was a lot of help, because that was stressful trying to, sitting there at work, trying to text people during the day and, try and get people as quick as possible. Especially like we talked about, was right before Christmas. So that's another hard thing to deal with. Other point, I would say, definitely it being mission based is a whole different ball game for me. Like I've said, I don't do missions. I like to just go run out on the field and be in the front line and keep you in spawn all day. Like that's what I know how to do. That's what my guys are all about on the Stud Muffins. We like to, be in your face all day and throw pain at you. So trying to read everything that Frosty was putting out on Facebook and figure out the characters, and trying to interact with them that day and trying to get involved and be in that type of environment, trying to get hints and ideas of what to do next. It was definitely difficult because I've never had to deal with that in my entire paintball career. But it was definitely helpful with Teddy being there, like I've said before, since he's done this twice. So that was good information there. last part of the day, that last hour was definitely, I will say, was a challenge because we read the mission cards and me and Chase immediately went out on that side of the field. We're trying to get as many people grouped up as possible that had walkies and try and bring teams together to push that side of the field on the Chinooks. And I kind of had to make a game time decision during that where I had guys fighting to go to the Rape Shack and hold that area too. But I figured the boats and the Chinook area to get those hard drives in for that last mission were more important. So I pulled everybody off from that side. I let them have it and tried forcing them out of the Chinooks and the boats. And it was tough in that last hour because they were just in that house, just hunkered down in there. And it was hard to get people out because we couldn't use grenades and we didn't use the rocket launcher.
You could use grenades. You just couldn't use the rocket on the building. It was a hardened structure. Grenades, if they got inside the room, were fine.
Even if that counted as our demo because our launcher wasn't working?
No, that's different. Yeah, right.
That's what.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because
Nope, good point.
And we were gonna use the grenades, but I'm like, we can't use it because it's a hardened structure. So we just, pick them off inside. And we finally got them picked off, and we look in there. I'm like, the hard drive's already full. I'm like, well, you can't do that now. And everyone was kind of bummed. And I was pretty much like, well, we still got, I think it was like 20 or 15 minutes left. I was like, well,
you had 24 minutes from when they finished. So I literally have the timestamps up on my other half of the screen right now. So
I was like 24 minutes left. I was like, well, let's just play the game that I know how to play. Let's put them back in spawn and get the flags. And we tried doing that. And I will say some of the people were kind of defeated once we, pushed them out of that bunker and they kind of walked off the field. So I was like, whoever's on the field that has paint or even three paintballs or whatever they had, just try and get those flags. And I was hoping we were going to get it by the end, but unfortunately we didn't. But it was overall a fun game, and it was very interesting and opened my eyes a lot of how to command in a different way this year.
I just remember you yelling at me multiple times leading up to Frosty, I don't read.
Yes, I don't read. So I handed all the reading stuff off to everyone else because I don't read. I just shoot paintballs.
But
Cool.
And again,
It sounds like it was a badass game. It sounds like it was a lot of fun. I wish I would have been a little further north, but I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to be a snowbird and stay warm.
Fair enough. This was definitely probably the coldest that day's ever been for us and that's even taking into account the second year we had rain. This was still colder. But yeah, once the sun came out around 11:30ish, it actually warmed up pretty nicely. It was pretty comfortable.
Yeah,
if you were moving.
Rather take this year over the other years that we've done it.
It was
rain that
rain on the second year. Yeah. That surprisingly actually didn't hurt our numbers too much as we thought it would, because obviously leading into the game that year, we see the weather and it's moving back and forth. Then it's okay, it's going to do it in the morning, so briefing, okay, that'll be under the canopy. All right, we'll be okay. But yeah, that was some cold rain that morning. And then once the rain stopped, it was just muddy, and it actually turned out to be a pretty nice day. But yeah, it was. I've said it, and I will continue to say it. You played one hell of a game. You and Chase did phenomenal job. The recruiting, the social media aspect, going to the game and just okay, cool. I'm going to put a bag on. I don't know what I have to do, but I'm going to bag myself. And going out there when the rest of you guys are yeah, I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you did a great job. And all of us on production are incredibly grateful because, I think I called you on a Tuesday. It's hey, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it was right after Endless Legends too. So
yes, I do remember that. I remember you texted Nico. And then Nico texted me. He was like, "Hey, Frosty's got to call you." I'm like, "Oh God, okay."
Why? What happened? What? Did what?
That's what I was waiting for.
I don't call people for bad things usually. I wait till it's face to face.
Well, I mean, this was somewhat of a bad thing, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It worked.
It worked out. So, and I've said it to Chase, and you've seen me say it to Chase. I'm incredibly grateful he stepped up as well, because similar to how Sandman and Elward stepped up during the second year, it's like, okay, I'm not just sourcing for a commander, I'm sourcing for an XO simultaneously. So I had asked both of them at the same time that particular year, and thankfully they said yes. So I was like, okay, we're gonna do the same thing in this case. I'm gonna ask both of them and to make sure they're both good with it. So you guys again did a great job. You guys are definitely inside the running list for this next one as we begin our early production prep for next year's game or the next event. So
That's what I was just going to ask. Do you have a
Yes,
do you have a date yet for
it
your
will
collab
it will
5?
remain on the first Saturday of December, on December 5th. So, or excuse me, December 6th this year it will be. So the event page is already up. If you search the Collapse 5 Scenario Paintball event, it's on OXCC. It's on OXCC's Facebook event calendar as well. If you go to Cypher Scenario Consulting Facebook, it's hosted from that page this year instead of mine because I don't want to get zucked. But yeah, please take a gander. There's no real details on it right now because we still have a lot of writing to do. We still have to approach the commanders that we want to. And yeah, we're still focused right now with something a little bit closer for us, which is our next event at Cypher Scenario Consulting at Skirmish in May, which unfortunately falls on the same days as Living Legends. But I'm still going to be at this one at least. But that will be Cypher Scenario Consulting presents 1943, the Italian campaign. It's a 2-day event in Skirmish. What is that, 16th and 17th? 17th and 18th, excuse me. Camping starts on, you can camp at the field on the 16th, but that one, we're already in full production swing for that. Starting to architect the 2 days worth of missions, which will be fun. And like we know what our field boundaries are going to be, and players who are used to skirmish are going to be in for a ride. So that'll be fun. But yeah, so that's next on our plate, and then obviously once we're comfortable there,
So
on the next.
talking about next on our plate. So I think the next game that I have in my sights, I'm not going to be there, but is going to be somebody mentioned it in the comments here,
Yep.
and I did earlier, is Battle for Hoth. Red Feather Scenarios at Blast Camp again. I've been multiple times.
Jealous.
I think the last time I went was when I had walking pneumonia, and I don't care to go back. It was bad. But that I'm looking that should be a good one. There should be some good media coming out of that. Red Feather always does a really good game. The Blast Camp is an epic freaking field to play.
I'll get
off
to go there
of.
one day.
It's just the way it's set up. I mean, it's a decommissioned Nike nuclear missile base. Okay, it's got barracks. It's got
what?
Nike nuclear missile base. It's got barracks. It's got satellite towers. I mean, it's a unique place. It's like one of the many. Okay, you're going to have your favorite field that you like to play at. This is something I always say. So play there. Play at your local field. Go there all the time. But check out other fields because there are unique fields everywhere. You can go play in caves in Missouri. You can go play in Jagger subsurface paintball. You can go play at a decommissioned Nike nuclear missile base. You go play at Blast or at Nuketown, which
Moving, right?
Nuketown 2013 is going to be moving shortly. I know they're still open now. Paintball Explosion. They're still at the current location, but they will be. Well, actually, that may be. I may be wrong. I think maybe December was their last month. But anyhow, there are so many cool places to play. You got Battlefield Orlando down here where I'm at. Hell Survivors, Chesapeake. There's so many cool places to play. So please check them out.
On that note, don't hesitate too long because some of these fields go away. Like how many people we've talked about CPX as a field for years. I got to play there the last Living Legends and it was gone. Like
you know what? And I actually kind of
PRZ is another one.
I was always I was on that. Oh, CPX isn't going. CPX isn't going. CPX isn't there. And I'm talking with Paul and Hanu at the time. They're like, nope, it's not going nowhere. It's not going nowhere. It's just temporary. And then next thing I know, it's it's gone. I'm like, what the fuck? Why didn't you just tell me it was gone? I mean, I would have been so much happier knowing that. But the
Yeah, Aaron,
Yeah.
that was my only
Aaron,
time
yeah,
getting to go there. I'm happy I did because that was a great field. PRZ is another one up in Canada. It's gone now.
I commanded 2 living legends at that field, and both of them were wins.
Yep, I remember.
So
I was there.
I mean, that field is just epic. From what I understand, CPX has changed hands, and from what I understand, the blueprints went with the changing of hands. So, who knows?
I don't know.
Never know. Never
nothing.
know. Yeah. So the next thing past Blast Camp's Battle for Hoth, because I gotta mention Red Feather. I just gotta. North versus South at Skyline Paintball. I don't know how many people are interested in that, but I've got some epic props that I have
Where's that one at?
built. That's Virginia, Stratford,
I
Virginia.
saw the cannon.
So I've built some epic props for that game.
I saw the
guys.
cannon and I'm jealous.
Bigger, badder, redder.
Yeah. So there's one that the one puzzle is rather large, and I may have overdone it with that, but the cannons, those turned out sweet.
They look
turned
really
out
good.
sweet.
Like they really do. I'm sad I'm not
And they're
making
big,
one.
they're big puzzles.
Oh, they're part of the puzzle.
From my understanding, they're puzzles. They're 5-piece puzzles. My understanding, those pieces are going to be spread throughout the field as well. And that PVC cannon barrel, well, let's just say
Sorry.
Rick, take notes.
You know how much concrete you can fit in a PVC cannon barrel? I do.
I'm not saying we've weighted down crates before with plates or anything like that, but
Hey, you got to do what you got to do. I was just trying to keep it realistic.
Are we prop masters now?
So I've enjoyed doing this stuff with CPX with a couple of these props here that we've had going on and built and worked with the other partners here at CPX. But we're just getting started. Bones and Ashes has got some cool ones coming up too, so I'm looking forward to that.
I think I'm making
What's up,
that
paintball?
actually. Yeah, I think so.
Good.
Because like I said, I'm down here in Baton Rouge till the end of March, but I intend on flying back down after, because I'm coming back up to do Skirmish's event and then coming back down. So I'm doing a lot of back and forth this year.
Okay, there's a comment in here that we got to share.
Now I just got to see the price.
Lighter than a zero-turn mower. Yes, a lot lighter than a zero-turn mower. Let me just say that was a prop at Michigan Hell Survivors. There, you know what? You got to make. It's a team sport.
Why is there always that one person that's got to complain all the time?
yeah, dude. I mean, I've had some fun doing this stuff, and we've got some ideas for some future stuff that's going to be pretty cool. We'll let it grow and build off of what we've got. But I think Bones and Ashes at check out the link up there in the corner. You see the QR code, CPX events. Sign up sooner than later. Get your pre-reg price in, your pre-reg paint in, and I do not believe I will be at North versus South, but I will be there in heart.
And props.
So anybody who is going, please give us feedback on what you think of the props and the way they're going. I think we're going the right way, and hopefully it'll be better.
Your submission could even be showcased on an episode, a future episode of Mad Frog Paintball.
Yes, from Swap Talk. There you go. I don't know, Zach. What do you got? What do you got going on next? What's your next game? You got anything?
The North versus South. That will be our first game of the year, so we'll be there playing for the North.
Okay. Cool.
I do have a few other events I will be XOing, but it's not 100% guaranteed yet because not everything has been figured out fully. So might be Super Game Maryland, that's a possibility. Once we get that figured out, that's in June, I believe.
Yep. June.
And then possibly, if it happens, Castle Jam on April 13th at Pinnacle Park.
Is that I didn't see that was the date. Okay, that's
It's April 13th. It really hasn't been posted yet because we're still working out who's doing what and who's all coming. XL wise and doing the celebrity generals. We're in the works of that right now, figuring out who's doing that. And then we'll be at probably Living Legends, or not Living Legends, Endless Legends, doing that in October again. And that's all I got for right now that I know of that we're doing like bigger game wise, but there is some local games that we're doing.
So, Frosty, did you say you were coming down for Super Game? Maybe
it's a maybe.
So Super Game Florida. Super Game Florida is here at Battlefield Orlando, Outdoor Extremes Battlefield Orlando, like in 2 weeks. I believe.
It's 2 weeks. So that's 17, 18, 19.
So last year's was great. Last year's was the first. This is the second. Looking forward to it again. It should be a fun one. I got a feeling I'm either going to be stuck in some zebra stripes this year or I'm going to be pushing parking around. I'm not sure exactly what the plans are, but I volunteered and I think it's been accepted.
You're a very good parking czar.
Yeah, I'm a very good parking czar. I like that. I'm a parking czar. Yeah, I'm taking over Brandon Tate's job. So just worry about me if I start talking about the weather. Controlling the parking lot's one thing, okay? Don't think anything about that. That's just normal. But lots full. Yeah, there you go, Dill. But if I start talking about the weather and forecasting and being like telling you when you're going to get a tornado, worry about me, please.
Fair enough.
Please.
So that might be my one thing for January because I'm still here in Baton Rouge for a couple months. I'm not making it for North or South, unfortunately. I'm actually flying back down. I'll be in Jersey for 2 weeks. I'm flying back down to Baton Rouge on that weekend, so unfortunately missing that.
Is Baton Rouge?
So my wife is down here at LSU finishing her Doctor of Veterinary Medicine degree. So she is.
Nice.
Yeah. Graduates in finishes in August. We're done in August, and we'll be back at home in North Jersey full time at that point. So I'm going back and forth quite a bit. This is just a period of time where I can stay down here for like 3 months, almost 4. Because I came down here literally the week after collapse was done. I was like, all right, on a plane, gone. So, and then 2 weeks prior to the weekend prior to the collapse, I was down here. So I'm really going back and forth a lot these days. And then we have our puppy, but he's like 35 pounds now. We have a toller named Chewy. So go ahead with the jokes.
It's okay.
I know. So we're taking him home in February for the first time. It's going to be his first time on a plane. We're going to see how that goes because he's going on as a service dog because he's in training to be said service dog. So we will see how this goes. We're excited at the same time. We're just like, might want to bring the GABA just because. Because
some CBD cookies might not be a bad idea. Just to
we'll see.
Out
March, I'm popping over to Skirmish for their Stalingrad game and also do a little bit of pre-work ahead of the 1943 game that we're doing in May. April, like I said, probably popping down to Texas to do Bones and Ashes. That's a field I've wanted to play out for a good minute. Ryan Sexton, who's a mutual friend, obviously, he's told me about the field plenty of times and what things he's done there. So I'm like, okay, I want to play the field. Really that's what I keep hearing.
From the video, I've never been there, but from the stuff I see, the pictures and stuff, that it looks bad.
It looks like
and then Viper was always trying to get us down there.
What field is he at?
Bones and Ashes is at What's Up Paintball at 7 Points, Texas. Oh, no, Ryan is official. We've been to official.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
It's a nice
No,
field.
but he's talking about
other stuff. Yeah.
But he was talking about What's Up Paintball. Official Paintball a few years ago, I put the solar panels on the roof of the bus in the parking lot, and it snowed on
in Texas.
Guys.
Nice. Perfect timing.
What the heck is that about?
And I think
all
I'm doing
so
Supreme
here
Morgan.
we go. We run over a little bit here on our normal hour show. Do you guys got anything else you'd like to add? Like what are we watching on TV? Do we stream anything?
I haven't started Squid Game 2 yet, but I'm told it's good. I'll get there.
I haven't watched Squid Game
And you should.
yet.
It's not bad. It's good. It's
not bad.
dystopian as all hell. So my wife's Korean, so like I'm into K dramas and stuff a little bit now too, and like I already know she's in the other room like shaking her head like you just don't want to read subtitles. I'm like, no, I don't.
No, I'll tell you what, I don't. Depending on what I'm doing, though, there's plenty of times where I'll be doing stuff in the bus and watching TV, and the subtitles actually I'll be reading them, but I'm not reading them. I'm reading them because I can't hear the English being spoken. I'm not reading them because I'm trying to keep up with the.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But then you know what I hate even worse? Okay, if I'm in your country, I apologize for not knowing your language. But when you play something on TV and you switch languages, or a movie, you switch languages and it's in English, people are watching it or speaking English mostly, and they start talking whatever, Cantonese or whatever, and they don't give you subtitles as to what they're saying.
Yeah, it's
It
frustrating.
just happened, and that was just
That
rude.
bugs the crap out of me. That's in a lot of newer movies. They're just going to speak a foreign language and not throw the subtitles.
Times I've run into that, I pull up the Google app on my phone because it has a conversational feature now. Like I
You have
just
to do
pulled it
that.
to the screen real quick and was like, oh, that's what they said. Okay. So that's funny sometimes. It's not accurate.
My ass.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. What damn movie were we just watching?
We were just watching one. We turned it
I
off
just
because it
did
did that.
And I'm not talking about Beetlejuice, okay? I don't know if you guys have seen Beetlejuice 2. Have you seen Beetlejuice 2, either of you?
I don't want to ruin my
Well,
nostalgia.
it's pretty good. It's pretty good up nostalgic wise. It's pretty good up to a certain point, and then there's a dance number or a music number, so to speak, that just carries on way too freaking long. So watch it, and you'll know the exact point I'm talking about. Stupid, but it was only $20 for a double DVD set. So
That should have warranted him.
Yeah, really.
That it was.
I'll just
awful.
wait till it's on something I already
should've
paid
known
stream
better.
for, so I'm good.
Yeah, I don't know. We don't pay for Netflix anymore. I think the only one that I really pay for is Disney Plus.
Okay.
but-
We do Amazon Prime. Between me and my brother and my dad, like we just share it. So somebody's got something. You want into the pool? Here you go. Bring your own streaming service. Hop in. But Secret Level's another one on Amazon. That's the one where it's like it's done by the folks who did Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix, and it's all centered around different video game properties. So there's one for Pac-Man on there that is absolutely wild. They did one for Unreal Tournament. They did one for Warhammer 40K. That was great. I'm excited because Amazon's actually doing a show for that. And then there's another one for Armored Core that Keanu Reeves was part of, and it's great. It's all CGI and it's incredibly realistic. It's great. It's just great. And it's short. It's like 15-minute episodes. So
What was it? What was that one we were watching about the rental house? Damn it! Oh, Guest Book. Guest
Oh,
Book.
that was pretty good.
It was the first season was epically hilarious.
And then just
We
fucking
started
after that.
watching the second season, and there was like a couple episodes in, and I can't remember the guy's name, but he was redheaded dude, New Yorker, was vehemently no Trump, no Trump, no Trump, and then all of a
Comedian.
sudden he's a comedian, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere he just like, no, I was wrong. Trump is the guy. We cannot have these people, and he dressed in drag, and
That was it.
it was really weird the way he did
The
it
writing.
in
was
the
weird.
writing, and it, hey, you want to dress up in a dress, go for it. That's your own thing. The way the writing was done on it, just
I couldn't
totally,
finish it.
it was like, huh? Wait a minute, what
just gave you
just happened?
whiplash.
Does it
What
make
are,
me-
what are we watching? It just totally threw it. But other than that,
His psychiatrist told him to wear a dress.
yeah.
For what reason? There was a reason.
then the Asian family accepted him, and he was like, "Get the fuck away." He'd rather stay with the family that didn't accept him. I don't know. It was so stupid. Anyhow, but guest book, check it out sometime. Who knows?
Okay.
Whatever. That being said, I think we're going to call it an evening. Please join us again. Please check out madfrogpaintball.com for any swag you guys could be interested in.
Like and share,
Yeah,
write your comments.
like and share the stream, send us your events, get a hold of me if you guys like to be on the show.
Can you rate us? Is there a thing to rate
I don't
us?
think there's a way to rate us yet. Next weekend, next Sunday, I'm going to have Andrew McGill on from Callan.
McGill Gorilla.
McGill Gorilla from Canada. You know what? We're going to have to ask him if he actually likes being called that, because I don't know if I think we're like one of the only ones that call him that.
But that's what makes us unique.
Unique. Yes, that works.
is-
McGill Gorilla. McGill Gorilla for sale. McGill Gorilla. I'm sorry. Whatever.
We're dating ourselves.
We're dating ourselves, falling back in that Cartoon Network fucking
Remember when I showed him
Boomerang.
that
Boomerang.
he looked like
Yeah.
that one Bachelor guy?
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that on the show next weekend. So join us again Sunday, please, for another episode of Swamp Talk. If the internet gods do allow us to, because I've actually, my Starlink went down for no reason whatsoever, and I've been hotspotting, or as my wife says, hotboxing. I've been hotspotting this thing to my Verizon cell phone.
So make sure you
And it's
send
actually
us
worked
your
out
flyers.
pretty well. It's worked out pretty damn well. Nobody, hey, honey, nobody's listening to you, okay? I'm talking right now. Left, right,
I'm going
left.
home.
Bob and weave. Bob and weave.
That's what
Start
I'm
running.
doing.
But no, it wasn't Conan O'Brien. A lot taller than Conan O'Brien. But you're on the right track of redheads. Oh, god damn, I can't remember the guy's name.
I lost it. 'cause
Hold
he
on
had
a second.
dress on.
We're gonna figure this out. Okay. Comedian who was in guest booked in drag.
Wait, taller than Conan O'Brien? Because Conan's tall.
Taller than Conan O'Brien.
Conan's tall. He's like 6'2".
No, he's not.
I will go look this up.
Okay, so he's gonna look up Conan O'Brien, and I'm gonna look up guest book, and we're gonna see. Hold on, cast. Maybe that's the wrong name of this. Oh no, here we go.
No, it's the
Got
right
it.
name.
Okay, I got guest book coming up here. Let's see if we can find him.
And then
Conan O'Brien is 6'4".
the second and third season were written by different people than the first
Okay.
one. And that.
Okay, what? How tall is
6'4".
Conan?
He's
Told
tall.
you. I've been in New York and seen the show. I was like, Jesus, that's a very tall, lanky Irishman.
Wow.
Yeah, he's 6'4".
No, because I've seen. Wow. Okay, then I guess a couple of the other
We're
people
short.
I've seen him with
Tall.
are
Yeah, I
pretty
mean,
damn tall.
standing next to Shaq.
I mean, I guess because I always saw. I didn't see him as a short guy. I'm 6'1", so I always saw him as shorter than me as an average guy. I never saw him. Wow.
Perspective.
Okay. All right, now you know what? It's not in here.
Guest book second season.
But he was in the first season too.
Was he?
Yeah, he was. Remember they did the. Damn it. Okay, hold on a minute.
Go to IMDb.
I have to do what my wife always says to do. Is go
Yeah,
to
it's
IMDb.
literally first thing I pulled. You said it was a redhead?
Don't do that.
Because. Yes.
Yeah, but it's a guide. You really call a guy a redhead?
Yeah, you do.
No.
A ginge.
There you go.
Gingers have no soul. You're right. I don't.
Garrett Dillahunt is Dr. Brown, so probably not.
No. Damn. Why is it not coming up here? Oh, never mind. That's story 2. No wonder it's not coming up because it's not even the freaking store. Not even. All right. Thank you for joining us on this search through Google and IMDb.
Google searches the show.
Oh my God, I can't find it. Okay, here it is. Boom. The guest. Okay, I'm sorry. The guest book.
And again,
videos.
only the first season was good.
Oh my God, this is going to drive me nuts.
The first step on our new journey.
I'm just lost. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Honey, save me. Oh, here it is. All cast and crew. I'm not used to IMDb.
How are you not used to it?
Because I don't use it.
That's what you're supposed to be using.
Says who?
Because everybody.
Yeah, probably right. But who is IMDb? What does IMDb stand for?
International.
Son of a gun.
Database.
I am not having any fun here
Movie
trying
database.
to find this guy. You know what might be easier to do here? Hold on a second.
Douche that.
Hold on a second.
Tune in next time.
Okay, Google. What comedian was totally anti-Trump and is now pro-Trump? Let's see what this does for me. Oh, no, not Tony. Tony Hitchcock. No, not Jim Gaffney. Man, I'm lost, guys.
I'll ask DuckDuckGo.
I can't find this guy. He's got one of those looks like he's always. I don't know. I'm weird. All right. Well, baby, relax, please. Please, honey. You're fine. You're fine. It's the neighbors. The neighbors are home. We don't have any neighbors. Technically, we kind of do right now, I guess. All right. Well, anyhow, have you found it yet?
No.
Lost to the streaming universe.
Yeah.
Tune in next
Maybe
time.
just-
They'll come up with it on the first game.
Talk about something else.
Guest book 2 episode drag. Let's see what that comes up with. Man, I don't know. This is just, I'm disappointed in myself. But it's not coming up on the top cast, and all these other people are, and they were only in one episode. All right. Well, anyways, we've gone off the rails, I guess. I'm totally.
Isn't that fun?
I'm a little upset that I can't figure out who this guy is, and it's driving me nuts. Red-headed.
Michael Rappaport.
Michael Rappaport.
Dude, he was
Scream
only
his
in
name.
3 episodes.
So
blah.
Michael Rappaport.
Okay.
There you go. Michael Rappaport in drag does not make an attractive blonde.
I would not have thought that to begin with.
I don't even know who that is.
Good.
As soon as he did that, I was done.
Sorry.
Because the storyline was
Sorry.
just not even funny anymore.
Yeah, it got weird. All right. Anyhow, just about as weird as us. All right. So everybody, thank you for joining us. We're going to try to send it out again here now by this time.
I don't know. Is there anything else we want to talk about? There's
Ding, 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 ding,
141
ding, ding, ding.
cast members in this.
The guest book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I said,
But-
we didn't finish season 2 because we got bored with it.
Yeah.
And now we're not going to because I'm waiting for my Starlink went down, right? Well, guess when the new one shows up? Tomorrow.
Nice. Perfect time.
Couldn't show up today.
Well, it ran fine
Supposed
tonight,
to show up
so looks yeah.
It did. So we're gonna have to compare. Other than that, with that all being said,
If anybody wants to come play Catan, you know where I'm at.
Catan Universe. You look for Crookster
or
on
you
Catan
can-
Universe.
It's not what I was talking about. You know where I'm at. We can play the game. Don't speak for me. Come visit me, though.
Maybe I'll see you in 2 weeks.
There you go. Michael Rappaport is only 6'2". 6'2".
It is tall.
Now. I mean, to me that's
Not the
to me
6'4".
that's somebody I can look at. But 6'4", Conan is that?
I'm only 5'11".
God damn, Conan. He must have let Tom Cruise really stand on a fucking box.
Couple
really
of
hard or
apple fruits.
something, 'cause- Yeah. Anyhow, now the Scientologists are going to come after me. All right, everybody take it easy. Have a wonderful night. Thank you for joining us talking about Collapse, and join us again next weekend.
If you have any other topic ideas and suggestions, you know where to send them. Still would love to hear from you.
If you have something for my wife to do next Sunday, please let me know. So we
A
don't have,
personalized profile about Michael Rappaport. There you go.
yeah, we need an essay on Michael Rappaport, 160 words at least.
He isn't that great of an actor.
I like his 360 though. I like the way he turned tail and was like, wait a minute, things aren't right.
At least he did it beforehand, so we knew it was true.
So, anyways, thank you for joining us. I'm surprised Dill hadn't popped up the Kermit the Frog drinking the tea.
He fell asleep.
Thank you for joining us. I know you had a lot better things to do than listen to us tonight. Yeah,
Bob,
there
if
he
you're
is.
watching, we love you.
My mom wouldn't be watching. Anyhow, everybody take it easy. Have a good night. Happy New Year. And with that, I guess take us out, Mr. Aaron Dill.